Today is May 19th, 2021. It's been a while since I've done a Walipini update because I have been on a sisters reunion with my sisters up in Boise, Idaho. We have not had one for almost 2 years now because, actually, over 2 years because of COVID. But we were able to visit this last week. They're actually here in Clover Valley for a few days. Now I wanted to show you what's going on. While I was gone, William took out a lot of plants, replanted a lot of starts. He's in the middle of a very organized progression of planting. He's very organized with his planting, which is really cool. He's got a spreadsheet and everything, so he knows exactly when he's pulling plants out and when he's putting plants in. And he follows, how they're growing and how they're doing if they're looking old and overblown. But we have a full garden out here. We're eating cauliflower, broccoli, peas, lettuce, chard, kale, collard greens. I have not eaten any green onions yet, but he has been growing them. I just always forget to harvest them when I'm out here. We have carrots growing. He's actually pulled up a few little baby carrots that are adorable. And he's got even some huge cabbage growing. It's just marvelous. And a whole bunch of tomatoes that are setting blossoms. Hey, do you have any fruit on the tomatoes yet? William? Good morning. Oh, look at that cabbage. Look at that beauteousness. Oh, we're going to wander back here through these lovely tomatoes. I'm just going to let you guys see the wonder of the tomatoes as we wander along here. More cabbage, because, cabbage is good. I actually have a sincere fondness for cabbage. I just like to saute it up. But look at all those blossoms. Oh my gosh. William, you've got tons. These have grown 3 times the size they were the last time I videoed in here, I swear. How are you?
I'm tired. My back hurts.
I'm sorry. That's a common complaint amongst mortals. William's often saying that God gave man a back to remind him that he's mortal. I think it's true. So we have some weeding going on. Tell me about your current work here.
So this is a green manure crop that I grew on purpose. Traditional green manures were grown big and then tilled in, but I'm not tilling. I'm just harvesting it, so that's all that is cut right there. Like a roll of hay. I'll leave it there for a few days till it dries up, then it'll be lighter to carry out. And I'll put it in the compost. I could take it green. And if I make my compost today or tomorrow, it'll be green. I am ready to do another compost. I'm enrolled in Dr. Elaine's Soil Food Web class. I finished the foundation courses, and they invited me to be a part of the consultant training program and the lab tech program both. And so I joined that, and so I'm learning microscopy.
It's pretty cool stuff.
And I'm making compost. So we have to make a compost with their recipe. Well, it's my recipe, but they have to approve it so it'll actually work. Because you have to use any disease-causing pathogens, either human or animal pathogens or plant pathogens, by composting it properly. And you have to grow the bacteria, fungus, protozoa, beneficial nematodes, and microarthropods in that compost. Sometimes your microarthropods come last, your fungus growth comes later, your big fungus growth. So it's a process. You can't just do it quick and then have a compost ready to go in a month to go on your crops. That will create a plant nutrient. It won't build your soil.
And you're following through
with your microbes to where it needs to be to actually regenerate the land and build topsoil. The next step of that is to create a productive piece of land out of a bare piece of dirt that is not producing good crops. And so we have a piece of dirt. We take our super good compost that I make, that the Soil Food Web approves and says, yes, this is very good. And then during the process, I learn how to approve it myself. And then we put that compost on the land in the form of compost tea, compost extract, other compost amendments that we can create to be able to regenerate that land and to make it a beautiful, productive, wonderful piece of growing medium. And so that's what I'm doing, growing my own compost. See, we're still tomorrow night, 2 nights this week, the forecast shows it's still freezing outside because we live in the mountains. So that's why I was growing compost material inside the greenhouse. We had plenty of space for the food we eat, and so I grew compost material so that I could jumpstart this process because the growing season outside is slower, and I didn't want to wait till June to be able to have things to harvest. So I'm able to harvest now. We've been harvesting for weeks already in here. This is the last of it. So that is what we are doing here at Apricot Cottage.
That's right. Now, I gotta say, I love this because you have been saying for decades now that we're soil farmers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this isn't anything new for you as far as
my
as
very first
a subject.
seminars I taught 15 years ago, I said your very most important livestock on your farm are the microbes in the soil. It's just now I'm learning to use the microscope so we can actually do quantifiable counts.
And it's really,
way.
the science of it is really increasing our knowledge of how to be really good soil farmers. And it's interesting because this new way is the very old way, which is really fascinating. It's wonderful.
This is how agriculturists have done it forever. And by tilling and depleting soils, we don't have production. Thomas Jefferson wrote, we have about 15 years. When we go to a new piece of land, we have about 15 years of fertility, and then we start adding things back. And so he would bring things from the ocean to add back to the soil. And that's a common belief in agriculture, is that we need to add to the soil. And it works. It works. If you don't believe it works, go to a restaurant. They have food there.
Right.
So it works. But it may not work for another 5,000 years. And we see that in the historical record. Because groups of people, civilizations would rise up, they'd till the soils, they'd deplete the soils.
And then they move on.
And then they would have to move on to somewhere else to accomplish something.
So we're doing our part here.
But doing it this way, we can keep the soil fertile forever, which is awesome.
Yeah. All right. So that is our Walipini update. It's a beautiful morning in here. Just do a little turn around so you can see it. William's had the misters on in the morning.
All day, 24/7.
24/7. You can see it coming down up there. It helps keep it cool in here because we are high mountain desert biome here, and it's warm in the days and cold in the nights.
Come see how happy your artichoke is.
Oh, artichoke!
See, artichokes like the Northwest, the coastal Northwest. The most beautiful artichokes come from
Look
Oregon,
at that.
where there's misty. And so the misters are going, and it's really doing well.
Ah, it's happy. I love artichokes. They're like one of my happy foods.
There's an invasive weed species here. It's against the law to have them on your farm. You have to control them. It's called Scotch thistle. And those look similar to a Scotch thistle to the untrained eye. And so I've had people in here and I say, look at my thistles, look how beautiful they are. It scares people. I love it.
You're terrible. You like to scare people.
I do tease people, and it's not nice.
Well, go have a glorious day today. Share pictures of your gardens with us. Send us messages. Follow us on Facebook or YouTube and share what you have going with us. We love to hear about other people's gardens. It's just one of the greatest delights of being a farmer, I think, is sharing farms with our friends. And so yeah, share with us what you're doing. Tell us about the amazing stuff you have going on. I mean, even if it's just something you have growing in a window, cultivating life is a beautiful thing, no matter how big or small. Have a great day.